Hello, and welcome back to another episode of 8-Bit Monsters Monster Deconstruction for D&D 5th Edition. On today's episode, we're going to take a look at the Anvilwrought Raptor. And no, this isn't actually a dinosaur, this is the raptor as a bird. Okay, Troll, I think I've had enough of you going off script. The audience wouldn't be disappointed if you just stick to the script I gave you. Can we move on with the script? Great. Carrying on, the raptor can be found in the Mythic Odysseys of Theros module on page 209. The raptor is a CR 1/2 worth 100 XP. When we take a look at Xanther's Guide for Encounter Building, we'll see that this raptor can actually be used as a group monster for 3 first level players, or maybe 2 second level players. At this point in the chart, it suggests that players could go on a 1-to-1 basis with the raptor. Now, once the players get to level 3, this is when they can actually solo the Anvilwrought Raptor on a 1-to-1 basis if they need to. Anyways, moving on to the TLDW, I found the DCR for our Raptor to be a 1/8, not surprised. The OCR a 2, again, not surprising. And the final combat rating is a 1. No shock here, it's actually higher than the printed value of 1/2. You know, Troll, I've been doing this pretty long now, so I would hope that my little banter with the audience helps get the idea across. Just stick to the script, please. Okay, so if you're curious to find out why this is, let's move on to the skills and traits and see what's affecting the raptor and go from there. Now that we're in the skills and traits section, our raptor is going to have a proficiency bonus of +2. Because it's in the CR 1/2 range, it's not going to have a +3 until at least, level 5, I think? So anyways, we have this +2 proficiency bonus that we'll be adding to its attacks and skills and whatnot. Luckily, our raptor only has 1 skill and no saves, no other effects in this section, and that skill is Perception. The Perception is a +4 bonus, which it gets +2 from its Wisdom, as well as a +2 proficiency bonus. Looking over the rest of this area, we'll see that our raptor has nothing else going on with it. In the trait section, our raptor has Keen Sight, which, as we've seen before, has no effect on the monster, and the Recorded Mimicry. It allows the raptor to completely replicate whatever creature it's heard within 24 hours. And because of this trait, there's going to be no effect again because this doesn't affect combat and it's more useful for out-of-combat RP scenarios. Luckily, our monster has really nothing going on in the skills and traits section to affect its overall final combat rating, so we can move directly into the DCR and see what's going on there. Look, Troll, I'll get to the point when I'm good and ready. Back to the video. Looking at the DCR, we will jump right into the effective hit points because we know nothing is affecting the health of our raptor. And the average health of the raptor is 18, which comes from 4d4 plus 8 hit points. Now this is going to rate the raptor at a DCR 1/8. Looking over the armor class of the raptor, we'll see that nothing else is affecting this as well, and we'll jump into its effective AC of 14, which it gets naturally. Now looking at our chart, we'll see that for a DCR 1/8 monster, it's going to have an expected AC of 13. Because of the 14 natural armor and no modifications to its AC, this is only going to be a +1 over the expected AC, and there'll be no shift to the DCR. So our raptor only has a DCR of 1/8. Like I said before, no big surprise here. And at 18 effective hit points, it'll be lucky to see if it lasts a couple hits. Alright, we got the DCR set at 1/8. Let's take a look at the OCR of 2. Now, the raptor gets a multi-attack here, which consists of 2 beak attacks. And the beak's damage consists of 5.5 average damage coming from a 1d4 plus 3. Now, when we look at the beak on its own, this is an OCR of 1/4 if we drop the half damage, which we normally do for rules of damages and attacks in combat. Now when we look at the multi-attack and the 2 beak attacks that the raptor gets, This will average out to 11 damage and be considered an OCR of 1. Now that we have the multi-attack situated at an OCR of 1, we're going to jump right into the effective attack bonus because once again, luckily our Raptor doesn't have many things affecting its overall damage and defenses. So the Raptor has an effective attack bonus of +5, which again comes from the +3 dex and the +2 proficiency bonus. Looking at our chart, we'll see that an OCR 2 is expected to have an attack bonus of +3. This is +2 over the expected rating, and will give a +1 shift from an OCR of 1 to OCR 2. So our Raptor may not be doing a whole heck of a lot of damage, but because of that high attack bonus, it's going to be hitting a little more often than usual for a monster that's supposed to be rated at CR 1/2. Yes, this is why I make these videos, troll, so the players can see why the hell levels are so terrible for players 1 to 3. Now, if you don't mind, let's carry on, we're almost done. Now that we have our OCR set at 2, let's take a look at the final combat rating and see how the numbers work out here. So for the multi-attack, our Raptor is going to have a DCR of 1/8, plus an OCR of 2, which equals 2.125, and when we average that out, we're going to get 1.0625. And of course, we round that down to the closest CR rating, which in this case is going to be a 1. So we found a 1 for our final combat rating, and this is one step above the printed value. Well, what's going on here? I don't exactly know, and let's jump right into the notes section to discuss this a little bit. Note number 1. Where is the CR 1/2 that's printed? Well, I tried a couple things here to adjust and see if I could find the CR 1/2. The first thing I attempted to do was switch the damages and the attack bonuses from the dex to strength. This would move it from +3 to +1 and adjust some things around here, which would end up giving the OCR a 1/4. This couldn't replicate the CR 1/2 that's printed, and I had no luck figuring that out. So next I tried reducing the attacks from 2 to 1, and again, leaving the attack bonuses with dexterity, I had no luck here either, and I still got, I think it was a CR 1/4 and not the CR 1/2 as printed. So how did D&D find a CR 1/2 for this? As per the rules written in the DMG, I really don't know. You got me. Note number 2, it's hit points. At 18 average hit points, this Raptor is not going to last a while, and if it's an enemy or combatant against the players, let's just give it the absolute maximum it can have without adjusting its CR that I found at 1. So in order to do that, you could actually give the Raptor a total of 68 hit points on average, coming from 15 D4 plus 30 hit points, and that will not modify the found CR of 1 that I got. Pretty wild. I mean, there is such a huge range of hit points at this CR level, it's crazy. Now that we've looked over the notes, is the CR balanced? Unfortunately, no. There's a printed value of CR 1/2, and I found a CR of 1. And sadly, I'm not able to determine why this is, and the Raptor is technically underrated. So let's go right into the CR review and take a look at a few things there. So for the CR, we have a printed value of 1/2, but I found a value of CR 1. If this is actually the case, our players are losing out on 100 XP because a CR 1/2 is rated at 100 XP, but a CR 1 is rated at 200 XP. So technically our players should be getting an extra 100 XP bonus if for some reason they're fighting this Raptor. Next is the DCR. It's one step under the printed value, but 2 steps under the value I found. Again, the low average hit points means it may only survive 1 or 2 attacks, unless a wizard or a caster hits it with something hard, and the bird could be taken out in 1 shot. And also, the low AC allows more attacks to land, unfortunately. And finally, we have the OCR. The OCR is 2 steps over the printed value, and 1 step over the value I found. Single attacks from the Raptor are under the expected average damage, while the double attack is actually over the printed value. So when the Raptor lands both hits on its multi-attack, it's actually going to be doing quite a good chunk of damage to our players, especially from levels 1 to 3. And with the higher attack bonus, this is going to allow more attacks to land. As always, we have a monster with a higher OCR rating than it's printed, lower DCR than it's printed, and probably a terror for our players to hit because they'll get chunked for a good amount of hit points and go, oh boy, kill this raptor quick. Who knows? Anyways. Thank you for joining me as we deconstructed the Anvilwrought Raptor from D&D 5th edition. Join us again next week as we pick another monster and deconstruct it into its barest parts to see where the printed value is coming from. Until next time, when we deconstruct another monster from D&D 5th edition, take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.